Hi, my name is Robert. This video is designed to give you step-by-step detailed instruction on completing the task at hand. Visit my YouTube channel and watch my disclaimer video. And please like, share, and subscribe. I hope you find the information you're looking for. Thank you very much for watching. In this video, I'm trying to do a teaching lesson on a basic tire change. These can turn into nightmares for people. I don't want you to be in that number. I've, on numerous occasions, stopped along the side of the freeway to help people change tires, because that's something that should take 5-10 minutes at the most. And often times I've run into situations where people didn't have a good spare tire, they didn't have the tools to pull the tire off and change it, didn't have the proper jack, and if at all possible, I'd like for you to avoid that. Plus, if you're a first-time driver, this would be a good video to help you see how to change a tire, hopefully prior to you needing to do it. And also, if you have a new driver in your home, maybe you could share this video with them and walk them through changing the tire. Personally, I didn't let my daughter drive off the street before she knew how to change a tire, because I didn't want her stranded nowhere at somebody else's mercy for something as simple as a flat tire. So let's get started. As I look across this parking lot, I come to the conclusion that half of these vehicles don't have the tools and equipment that they need to change a tire. So if you have a car that you've acquired recently, it would be a good idea to check the trunk, check the trunk area, and make sure that the car that you're driving or your loved one is driving has the proper tools and equipment needed to change a tire. Things you need are very basic. You need the manufacturer supplied jack. You need the tire lug nut removal tool. You need any tool that helps the jack work if it has something separate. And then you need a spare tire that's properly inflated and not rotted out. I went into a trunk one day only to see a tire that was rotted out. The metal was sticking out of it. Of course, it didn't have any air. That tire was no use to the person that was driving that car. So, seeing that you have a spare tire, preferably a good one, what I recommend most people do if they have an older vehicle is get a full-size spare that preferably matches the car. So if you're traveling somewhere and you develop a flat tire or some kind of tire problem, you could replace the tire and keep on going. It won't be a delay in your travels, and then once you get to your destination, you can get that tire replaced or fixed. So just an overview on the process of replacing the tire is, one, you want to get the vehicle on a flat, hard surface. You don't want to be in the gravel or in the grass or anywhere like that. You want to pull the car as quick as you can onto a flat, hard surface. Two, you want to set your parking brake, break your lug nuts loose, jack the car up, then remove the lug nuts, pull the tire off, put the replacement tire on, snug the bolts down, lower the car onto the wheel so that it's got some weight on it, tighten the lug nuts, and then lower and remove the jack. Now, most cars have different jacking points, and if you don't know the jacking point for the car, look under it. If you're not 100% sure, look in the owner's manual. So I'm going to show you how it looks in the owner's manual and where you can look on different cars for the jacking points. Some cars have one jacking point that jacks up the entire side of the car, and some cars have a jacking point that only jacks up the particular tire that you're trying to change. In this owner's manual, it actually has a section called wheel changing, and they have some good illustrations of how this process is done. It shows that the jack goes in the center of the car. It shows what the jacking point looks like, how the jack looks when it's properly positioned, and that you don't want to try to support the car by the tip of the jack. It also shows the wheel pattern lug nut tightening sequence so that you do it properly. If the vehicle that you have doesn't have an owner's manual, it might be a good idea to get on eBay and get one, go to the dealership and get one, or get one somehow. If you get one off of eBay or something, they should cost somewhere around anywhere from $5 to $20. If you get one from the dealership, they can cost anywhere from $20 to $50, depending on what comes in the packet. So here are a few jacking points from a few different cars. That's what one looks in the middle of the Volvo 850. On these small compact cars, it's normally this point on the frame that has the two notches and the little frame that runs along the bottom of the car. On some cars, it'll have a special pad or a notch on the subframe like that. This is a notch on the bottom of a Lincoln, and it looks like somebody may have misplaced the jack over there on that part of the frame. And on this vehicle like this truck, it may be that support there, or even along this big frame portion of the car. But you got to get that jack where the owner manual recommends if you're using the jack that's supplied with the vehicle. So the first thing I'm going to do is access the tools to jack the car up and get that wheel. So I pull a panel off, and all your tools to pull the wheel off and jack the car up should be under here. Now you never ever want to get under a car with the manufacturer supplied jack. Okay, so I access all the tools to jack the car up. Now I'm going to put something in front of and behind the opposite tire of the car to help prevent the car from rolling. I'm also going to set the parking brake nice and tight. This car comes in with this wheel stop, so I'm going to put this behind the passenger side rear tire, and I'm going to put a brick or something in front of that same tire, and I'm going to jack up the driver's side front tire. Okay, I have that wheel blocked. I have that parking brake pulled up tight and set. Now I'm going to find the jacking point on this car, which is right there. If you're not 100% sure of the jacking point on the car you're going to be working on, look in the owner's manuals, find it out. Because if you jack the car up in the wrong place, you could damage something under the car and possibly have the car fall on you. You also want to make sure you're on a flat, smooth surface when jacking the car. You don't want to be on gravel or lawn or nothing like that. Okay, I pulled the dust cap out of the jacking point. I slid the jack all the way in the jacking point, and wouldn't you know it, they even recommend that you not get under the car to do anything with this jack install. So now I'm going to take a little bit of pressure off the wheel, jack the car up a little bit, but I'm not going to jack it up high enough to get the wheel off the ground, just take a little weight off of it. After I do that, I'm going to break my lug nuts loose, because I want the wheel to be on the ground when I break those nuts loose. Now when you're changing the tire, this is often the only tool you have to get the lug nuts off and on. As you can see, this one is bent, so a lot of times they're not adequate for doing that job. So I often keep one of these T's in my trunk. But on these instructions, it says you telescope it to pull the lug nuts off. You don't telescope it to put them back on. So let me go ahead and break these lug nuts loose. Okay, I jacked it up so the wheel is off the ground. I don't get it too high, maybe about 5 cranks past up. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull the lug nuts off the wheel and remove the wheel. Once all the lugs is off, you want to bump the wheel at the top, and that should break it free from the hub. Now it's broke free, you can go ahead and pull it off the car. Now that you got your wheel off, you can go ahead and put your other wheel on when you're doing your tire change. But while you have it off, you want to take a look at your rotors, run your finger across them, see if you catch it on the lip. That'll tell you if your rotors are getting worn. Also, you got a clear view of your brake pads. You can see how much meat is left on your brake pads. As you can see, these brake pads have a lot of meat on them. Looks like about a ½ inch. You can also take a look at your brake lines while you're in here, see if any of them are cracked, and you can grab the wheel hub and wiggle around, see if you have any bushings or anything like that loose or misplaced. This car has a lower control arm and an upper control arm. A lot of your less expensive cars just have one control arm, and things are supported by the strut mount and stuff like that, but this one is not. So you could look at those boots, see if any of your boots are torn, and go ahead and put your wheel back on. Now I'm ready to put the wheel back on and put the lug nuts on it. Now, what I normally do in this case is if I got lug nuts that do not have washers like this one does, I put some anti-seize along the surface of the lug nut that makes contact with the wheel. not on the threads, but on the part of the lug nut that contacts the wheels, so that those bolts don't get stuck on the wheels. I've seen them where I couldn't get the lug nuts loose. I had to get help for somebody to break the lug nuts loose. And you don't want to be somewhere, get a flat tire, and can't get your wheel off. So go ahead, roll your wheel in place. If you need to put a little anti-seize on the part of the lug nuts that contact the wheel, do that. Then you want to finger tighten these nuts on, and then just snug them down with their tool. Crazy enough, I've even seen times where somebody had their lug nuts off and couldn't get their wheel off because this surface of the wheel and inside there was stuck to the hub. So you may even want to spread some anti-seize compound around here and around those pieces that grab hold to the wheel so that that don't get corroded and stuck to the hub as well. Okay, I got all the lug nuts in place and snug down a little. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to lower the car down and put some weight on the wheel, and then I'm going to tighten the lug nuts. You don't want to be wrestling around and trying to tighten the lug nuts with the wheel off the ground. It's just not going to happen. So just lower it until you put a lot of pressure on that wheel. It don't have to be all the way down. Then you want to tighten your lug nuts to the torque specifications in the manual. Most are close to 80 foot-pounds. Now when you tighten your lug nuts, you're supposed to go in a cross pattern. So you tighten this one, then go across 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 that one in the star pattern. It helps you prevent from warping your rotors. So let me go ahead, lower the car, put some weight on the tires so I can torque it down. Okay, now that I got the wheel lugs tight, I'm going to go ahead and lower the jack, remove it, move the things from the back tire on the opposite side of the car, put everything away, and go on about my way. If you feel that this information was beneficial, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can also subscribe to my channel so that you can get notification of future videos that I post. Visit my channel. I have all types of do-it-yourself videos there. You can leave questions here and I'll try to respond to them as quick as possible. You can also visit my website at robertspinner.com. Thanks again for watching.